SCP-096, one of the scariest SCPs in the Foundation, is famous for reaching just about anyone that remotely looks at its face. Whether you're on an airplane or in a submarine on the bottom of the ocean, chances are the shy guy will get you. But what if we sent someone in space and made him or her look at an SCP-096 photograph? Would the shy guy manage to reach the victim? In this SCP Exploration episode, we try to answer this question. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel with notifications on, so you don't miss any of our upcoming SCP videos. And we plan on exploring more interesting SCP-096 experiments very soon. Before we start thinking about triggering SCP-096 from space, we first need to answer a very important question that will determine the success of this experiment, namely if SCP-096 can even survive in space. As discussed in our SCP-096 origin story video, which you should definitely check out if you haven't already, the shy guy is of human origin and mutated into what he is today as a result of another SCP, namely 1529. And as we all know, humans can survive in space due to the extremely low pressure and lack of oxygen. SCP-096 is heavily mutated, however, so it may survive, but we will need to find proof in order to say for certain. We discovered the first piece of information in the incident report when SCP-096 was triggered by a D-class that was located in the bottom of the Tonga Trench, the second deepest ocean trench after the Marianas Trench. When the D-class looks at the photograph, the shy guy immediately breaches containment and begins traveling towards its victim. After reaching the ocean surface, 096 begins swimming the 35,000 feet or about 10 kilometers that are needed to reach the submarine in the trench. And of course, diving that deep underwater takes some time, even for the shy guy, and the anomaly has no oxygen supply during that time. And secondly, we remember that during the last SCP-096 containment breach, which is described in detail in the Shy Guy's wiki entry, it is stated that practically all of the anomaly's internal organs were shot out with heavy weapons, and that 096 lost nearly all of its blood, but this didn't stop the anomaly. So we can assume that SCP-096 either doesn't need to breathe at all, given the fact that it can survive without internal organs, or can hold its breath for extended periods of time. All this means that should SCP-096 somehow find itself in outer space, it would most likely survive. So with this new knowledge in mind, we can go back to our little space experiment. What happens when the D-class looks at an SCP-096 photograph while in space? When the D-class looks at the photograph, 096 will breach containment, as it usually does when it is triggered, and will immediately try to get as close to its victim as possible, which in this case would mean going right under the spacecraft. However, in order for an object to remain in space, it needs to orbit around Earth at a given speed, so that the gravitational and centrifugal forces cancel each other out. And in low Earth orbit, the most common orbital path for manned spacecraft, this means orbiting at a speed of around 5 miles per second or around 8 kilometers per second. So in order for the shy guy to get right under the space station, 096 would need to run at least as fast. But can the shy guy even run at such speeds? In order to say, we need to go back to the 096 Tonga Trench incident report, where we notice that the distance from the D-class to the shy guy is redacted, but is written in kilometers and is comprised of 3 numbers. This means that it must be between 100 and 999 kilometers. So we can assume an average distance of 550 kilometers or about 340 miles. And a bit later, it is stated that SCP-096 takes about 40 minutes to reach the trench And if we use these parameters to calculate the Shy Guy's average speed, we get 825 kilometers per hour, or about 510 miles per hour. And because the area around the Tonga Trench is mainly ocean, this means that SCP-096 swam with an average speed of 510 miles per hour, or 825 kilometers per hour. But humans can sprint much faster than they can swim. Because if we compare Usain Bolt's record-breaking 100-meter sprint to the swimming world record of Michael Phelps, we see that sprinting is about 5 times faster. And SCP-096 is a humanoid, so we can apply this ratio to it as well, meaning that it would theoretically be able to run up to 2,550 miles per hour, or about 4,125 kilometers per hour. But unfortunately, this is still nowhere near the speed of a space station in orbit, because 8 kilometers per second equals to around 18,000 miles per hour, or around 29,000 kilometers per hour, which is still 7 times faster than SCP-096's estimated running speed. This means that on paper, the Shy Guy isn't physically capable of running fast enough to get under the space station, so right away, things aren't looking very promising. However, there is one piece of information in SCP-096's wiki entry that may speak otherwise. It is stated that the Shy Guy's documented running speeds vary from ordinary running speeds to thousands of kilometers per hour and seem to depend on the distance from its target. So if the D-Class is located in space, the distance from 096 to the victim will be very long, and this may allow the Shy Guy to run a whole lot faster. But even if SCP-096 can't run that fast, this doesn't mean that it doesn't stand a chance of reaching the target. Because if it is smart enough, it can analyze the trajectory of the space station and perform a stationary jump in such a location so that it perfectly intersects the space station's orbit. And we think this is plausible, because the Shy Guy anomalously knows by whom and where his face was looked at, and always knows the fastest way to its target. So in conclusion, even though the space station is traveling at incredible speeds, it would still be theoretically possible for SCP-096 to reach it. And now, we come to the most important question. Could the Shy Guy reach the necessary altitude in order to kill the D-Class, namely 250 miles or 400 kilometers? And how would SCP-096 get up there? The first thing that comes to mind when we imagine SCP-096 trying to attack someone that is located in space is the Shy Guy jumping, of course. And indeed, given the fact that SCP-096 hasn't been seen capable of teleportation or bending reality, this looks like the only possibility. So how fast would SCP-096 need to jump in order to reach the necessary altitude, and would it even be capable of such a jump? Well, if we assumed that gravity didn't change with altitude and ignored air resistance, we can easily calculate a rough estimate. We won't bore you with the math. The answer is around 2.8 kilometers per second, or about 1.7 miles per second. However, humans can't jump as fast as they can run. If we calculate the speed that NFL Combine athletes jump with when they perform a vertical leap and compare this with their running speed, we see that it is about half of their sprinting speed. And given the fact that the Shy Guy is a humanoid, we can apply this ratio to him as well. This means that if SCP-096 needs to jump at 1.7 miles per second to reach the D-Class in space, it would need to be able to run at about 3.4 miles per second. And even though this is still 5 times faster than SCP-096's estimated running speed, we have good reason to believe it can run much faster in such a circumstance, as we saw in its wiki article. So in the end, to answer the question whether SCP-096 can reach someone in space, the answer is that we can say for certain, because it all depends on exactly how fast the Shy Guy can actually run, which is something we don't know. And given the fact that launching an astronaut in space is very expensive, it is unlikely that the SCP Foundation would challenge SCP-096 like this anytime soon. Perhaps a good way to find out if the Shy Guy can reach someone in space would be to have someone who is very far away from 096, on the other side of the planet for example, look at a 096 photograph and see if the Shy Guy can run as fast as the necessary speed we calculated. Or better yet, we can forget about challenging SCP-096's abilities, which almost led to an XK class scenario in the past, and instead focus on trying to terminate the extremely dangerous anomaly. Humanity's safety and not answering interesting questions is the SCP Foundation's main priority, after all. This concludes our SCP-096 vs. Someone in Space video. So what do you think? Can SCP-096 jump up to low Earth orbit? Are there any other SCP scenarios that you would like us to explore? Let us know in the comments below. Please make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, as we have many more interesting SCP videos coming up, and we plan on exploring more SCP-096 experiments in the future. And as always, we'll see you in the next video.